I've researched it, and the ones that are for it are telling the truth according to what I've researched. So I just want to be elected that I'm.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment? Yes, ma'am.
Alice Arbuckle from Hillsborough. I'm concerned that a private entity such as Dominion will set a precedent for other companies wanting to also run a pipeline through the national forest. It's a precedent that I'm worried about. And the gentleman back there, he made a point. The national forest, it was set aside to be a forest forever. And a pipeline just doesn't belong, and I really wish that they'd find another route that avoids the national forest, not only the Mon, but next door in Virginia. And it would be nice if you guys could just go due south to the Charleston area, have a way to sell the product in West Virginia, and then go due east, perhaps through all the devastated areas that have been strip mined, instead of starting, taking a risk with the pristine national forest. Thank you.
I'd kind of like to make a few comments. I like what Sherry said. I think we need to work together in this county. I agree with the environmental side of it. We want to protect our county as much as possible. But I agree also with what Mr. Burns said too. Do you want that product either hauled on trains or trucks? To me, it's a whole lot safer a gas line than trucks, and I agree in that situation too. You see more spills like the one that happened in Greenberg County from a truck than you do from pipelines. And I feel strongly we need to support the Forest Service to look at this and do their survey. They have well-qualified, intelligent people, and I'm willing to listen to them for their surveys and tell us if the area they are satisfied with running the pipeline and feel like it can be done without any environmental impact. I agree with it. If they feel like it can't be, then I'll agree with them that way. But I think our responsibility right now is to support the study and the survey. But I feel like if we don't look at it that way, we're not supporting the county's growth. And I just think that we need to move ahead, move on forward, and see what the Forest Service will come up with and what their studies will be. And that's just my opinion at this time. I think Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Walker would like to have a comment to make too.
Yeah. It's a contentious issue. Seems like it always is in Pocahontas County. But I've talked to enough people, studied the pipeline process enough to make a decision. I think what I want to do concerning the vote. And I'm not going to say much more about that because I don't want to influence the other two commissioners about how I'll vote. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Walker.
Well, since the last meeting, I missed part of that meeting because I hadn't worked for the Board of Education that morning. I was here for approximately the last half hour and 45 minutes. Caught a little bit of grief for missing that, I guess, but that comes with the job. Some of us has got to work more than one job to make a living here, and I happen to be one of those people. The gentleman stood up back here in the back. I think his name is Taylor. If I could allow one person to go to work on this, it would tickle me to death. Because that was the first question I got asked when I ran for county commission. What are you going to do to bring jobs to this county? I've been here for 4 years, and sad to say, I don't know if we brought any jobs here because we turned everything away. It's time to open the door and let something have a chance. We had nothing to lose, but maybe a little bit to gain. And that's my opinion. I have talked to 207 people, either on the phone or personally, in the last 5 to 6 days since our last meeting. 189 of them people were fairly strongly in favor of this pipeline. There was an 11 of them people said they didn't really care. They didn't know nothing about it. Some of them didn't even know it was going to happen. 7 people was semi against it, or maybe more or less against it. And about 5 out of them 7, if I remember right, was because of the fracking and the oil and gas, which is a whole totally different subject in my opinion. Tonight, we've had 22 people speak, 13 was in favor of it, 9 of them was against it. It was brought up that we had an alternative route coming down 219. I spoke to Mr. Randy Sharp, Blaze Building Supply, probably second or third largest business owner in the town of Arlington. He said it would tickle him to death if they come right through the middle of his store. Said they could buy it all, and he'd move to the top of the mountain, out of the flood zone, and build another one, twice as big and twice as strong. Said he loved the idea of coming down 219. Well, was that happening or not? I don't know. But he was in favor of it happening. He said he thought it was the best thing for this county could ever happen. Number 1 was for the tax base to potentially help the schools. The other thing that kind of bothers me is in the last meeting, I was not aware of any property owner that the line was planning on coming through that was even here to speak in favor of ordinance. So I take that as no news is good news. The last week I haven't had a single phone call from a property owner that was in favor of ordinance. I don't know none of the property owners personally, I don't think, so I haven't had a chance to contact them. That's the people I would like to be able to talk to. But apparently they're not too strongly against it, or I think they would have been at one of the meetings or contacted one of us. So just to my calculations, I feel that 80 to 90% of the people in Pocahontas County is for this pipeline. And I'm strongly in favor of writing a letter to allow them to continue to study to see if it can work or not. And to touch back on the issue you made about, I said that I had never made $1 from cutting trees. There must have been a misunderstanding there somewhere. I said that I hadn't made $1 from watching the water flow and watching the trees grow is what I said.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I quoted you right out of the paper.
Well, I haven't read the papers. I don't know what the paper said. But, I burn wood at my house, not necessarily to make money off the wood, but to save money. So I like the trees as much as anybody, and I think we need to cut more of them. But I don't know where that quote comes from. That's not here what we're discussing on you. That's all I got to say.
John's had his hand up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beard. You mentioned putting the decision for the moment in the lap of the Forest Service. It's going to do a survey. I got a letter from the Forest Service because they're my neighbor, announcing the comment period on the proposed survey. And it was my impression from reading the letter that the survey was not going to be done by Forest Service employees, but by Dominion employees. Am I mistaken? Because there's a big difference in the attitude and investment interest that will be brought to the survey, depending on whether the people actually doing it work for the company that wants to build a pipeline or work for it.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a yes or no from the Forest Service after that survey has been done.
Well, but they will be operating on, if the survey work is done by employees of Dominion or contractors from Dominion, the Forest Service will only have data presented to them by the company that wants to build a pipeline.
I would think that they would have their own data to look at to compare it with Dominion money.
Well, the way I read the letter, it was Dominion that was going to do the survey, and I was just asking you if you know definitively one way or the other.
Let's let one of the Dominion answer that question, okay?
Yeah, so our contracted personnel will do the studies in accordance with the Forest. They tell us what they want studied. We provide funding for them to review and to go over and to do, make sure that we're doing what they want. So we fund their personnel to review what our studies are, what studies we are doing, and to make sure that they are in accordance with their will.
But you guys, your guys are doing the study, and your guys are obtaining the data, which is later reviewed by the Forest Service. Do I understand that correctly?
That is correct. They will be out there with us part of the time, overseeing and making sure that, we're getting what they want. And also, the people that we have contracted are certified and, they're professionals. They hold a title, so.
Thank you. Rob, you had a statement you were hanging was up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that you understand what it would mean if by some chance there would be a change in the route of the pipeline, what it would mean to the town of Marlton. If you've read the Federal Times, you know about the infrastructure problem that Marlton has. Marlton enacted a business and occupation tax, and parts of the end-run are incorporated within the town of Marlton. Contractors will be required to pay 2% for any work that they would be done within the corporate limits of the town of Marlton. Potentially huge tax dollars if something like that could happen. I'm just making sure you understand the consequences positively with regards to tax revenue in the town of Marlton.
Yeah, but you mentioned the Forest Service and their experts they have working for them. Who, the head of the Forest Service, he's appointed correctly? I mean, he's not elected.
He's appointed, I'm sure.
By whom? The governor?
It's a federal.
Or he's federal? So the people who appoint him, what I'm getting at is the people who appoint the Forest Service people, do they get any money from gas and oil interests during their election, when they're running for election?
Civil service.
I think they do. All you have to do is search.
They're not, I don't think it's not an elected position.
No, not the Forest Service, but the guy who appoints the Forest Service guy. If you look at all these guys that are running, especially on that level, they get a lot of gas and oil money. That's what political tax are for, and they give them tons of money, the Koch brothers and all, tons of money to oil and gas interests, and then they appoint Forest Service people. And that's why, no matter what the issue is, it's a pipeline out, but it's always this public input period, and then it pretty much gets rubber stamped what industry wants, the industry who give money to elect the guys who appoint the Forest Service guy or whoever the guy might be. So it's sort of a rigged game, in my opinion.
There's a gentleman in the back been holding up his hand.
I'm Solomon Working. The President of the United States appoints the Secretary of Agriculture. Secretary of Agriculture appoints the Forest Service, Chief of the Forest Service. That's how the Forest Service.
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask a question of Dominion? Is the pipeline, what temperature does it stay at?
I mean, as far as what the gas,
Right. How does it flow? What's the temperature of a gas line like that?
I don't know the exact number. I mean, it should be ambient ground temperature. It's, what would you say, Ben? I mean, probably 50s, mid-50s?
50 to 60 degrees.
I mean, right out of the compressor station where you're putting more concentration flow, it's going to be a little bit warmer.
Okay.
Definitely.
But as a rule,
But-
it's not going to raise
It's not a
the
friction.
temperature.
Heat is not caused by. Yeah.
There's a lot of heat of compression involved in pumping this stuff. As an engineer, I would want a more definitive answer. You're putting thousands of horsepower worth of energy into this stuff to compress it. I don't know what the operating pressure is. I assume it's several hundred PSI. Any air compressor, any large air compressor has aftercoolers. I don't know where the question is going, but I would be very skeptical